Laura Ingraham was in Dallas.
Here.
Oh, there she is. We were worried you weren't coming back tonight.
No, the music's drowning me out, though, dude. Can't hear my voice. I had to go to the bathroom, and then I got into a conversation with all my friends here in Dallas. People coming up to me, they're asking me when the governor's coming on the show, and I'm just shooting the breeze. And then I walk in, and my friend sit in the studio, and I said, "Are we already on?" And she nods, and but she didn't say anything. She said, "Yeah," but I thought Mike was just queuing the music up so I could listen to it. So I get laid back when I come to Texas. Isn't that bad? And of course I didn't bring my boots because I couldn't fit them in my bag, so I'm wearing inappropriate sandals. So I should be in my boots, but I might have to find the governor to just let me borrow a pair of his wife's or something. I don't know. Governor Rick Perry, of course, governor of the great state of Texas, as I'm here broadcasting at WBAP, our friends here at Cumulus in Dallas, and having a great time. Hey, Gov, how are you?
Well, it's a beautiful day in Texas, and we have plenty of boots for you. Any style, any size, you name it, we got it.
Oh, no, I have a couple of pair. Before I left, I have a couple of brand new pair, Governor, of Tony Llamas. And
there you are.
Oh, they're fantastic boots, but for some reason I forgot I had them in my closet, and they're size 7.5, and they're way too small, and they're brand new. So I got to bring them back. Or I bought them here in Dallas. I got to bring them back here and get a new pair, man. That's annoying.
Come back to one of our great boot stores, and they'll be happy to exchange for you.
Well, you gave me honorary citizenship, so they gave me really the red carpet treatment last night when I hit the Dallas Art Fair. So it was a great time. Governor, there's so much we want to talk to you about, including the craziness on gun control in Washington. I want to talk about that before we move on to the immigration issue. But now it looks like the Republicans weren't able to stop the consideration of this new bill that's going to include expanded background checks, and obviously the president wants a lot more. But what's your take on this? Obviously, Texas is a huge gun state, and you're all inviting gun companies to relocate here from places like Maryland and Connecticut.
Matter of fact, just tweeted to a company up in Connecticut, in Bristol, Connecticut, PTR, which is a precision rifle manufacturer. They have announced they're leaving Connecticut because of the local legislature passing onerous gun restrictions laws. So, we're open for business in Texas, not just obviously for gun manufacturers, but one of the reasons that we're creating as many jobs in the state, outpacing any other state in the country over the course of the last years by huge amounts, is because we believe in freedom. We believe in freedom from overtaxation, overregulation, over-litigation. And those companies that are being squeezed out of other states are making a decision about where to relocate to or where to expand in some cases, and all very often it's to the state of Texas. To the issue that you asked about the gun legislation, gun control legislation, I think the left is just looking for some scintilla of that they can hold up and say, we've got a victory here. We've got a victory here. And the fact is we should be looking at the real facts about how to stop those types of events that occurred in Connecticut or in Colorado. And the fact is that we should be looking at mental health side of this substantially more.
But what's the big deal, Governor? Governor, let's say they expand background checks to even internet sales. Why is that something that people on the closer to the NRA position are worried about? Let's just say focus on that internet sales. Shouldn't they be, people who buy on the internet, be subjected to background checks because maybe you're someone who is, I don't know, beat your wife, or someone who was a crack addict in the past? Shouldn't they have a background check?
Well, here's the key: the background checks are in place, and most, where the vast majority of the sales are. And again, I think this is an attempt to just let's go past something. Let's go past something when we ought to be having a conversation about how do we truly impact the ability to stop these types of events. Does it make more sense to have our either a uniformed officer at that school who is armed, or allow teachers to go through training? All of that will make a difference in whether or not, we had 15 students who were stabbed at a college campus in Houston this last week. I would suggest to you, if a student or a professor at that university had the ability to carry a concealed weapon on campus, that they could have interceded and stopped that before it expanded into 15 individuals. So this idea that somehow or another we're going to do some background checks on a very small, tiny, limited number of people is going to make a difference is just, that's a pipe dream. It's not, Laura.
We're talking to Governor Rick Perry from the great state of Texas, of course, governor here. And Governor Perry, this sense among so many Republicans that there's not enough of a backbone on Capitol Hill. There are just not enough people who are willing to stand up to the president and the Democrats' plan to remake America, right? And on the gun issue, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, there may be some truth to that. I don't know. I hope that the members of Congress will express strong belief in the Constitution and our Bill of Rights and stand up for freedom in this country. The states are. When you look at what's happening, I want to divert just a second. You said something about the Dallas Arts event that you went to.
The Dallas Art Fair, which is fabulous.
The cultural arts in Texas are exploding. Fort Worth has built a new museum of modern art. The Kimball has expanded. The Bath has built one of the greatest symphony halls in the world. Right there in Dallas, there's an entire cultural arts district that's been completed. AT&T and the Meyerson, two performing arts facilities, the Nasher Sculpture Garden, the American Film Institute has relocated out of California to Dallas, and the Perot's just finished one of the great museums of natural science. That's all occurred in a decade. And not to mention that in Houston tonight, there are more theater seats available than any other city in America outside of New York City. It's happened because we've allowed people to keep more of what they work for. Freedom from overtaxation, over-regulation, over-litigation has created an explosion in the cultural arts in Texas, and you got to see part of that last night in Dallas, Texas.
No, that's actually a great point. More of your individual wealth kept by you and not given to the government allows for ultimately more creativity and more investment in the arts, and everybody benefits from that. That's a great point. I mean, that's one thing I hadn't connected to the arts fair last night.
And government would never have done any of that. I'm telling you, government would not have built one of those facilities or made those environments available. In fact, they would have been a hurdle to those types of private sector investment in the arts.
Hey, Governor, I want you to listen to something that Joe Biden said a couple of days ago on your favorite network, MSNBC. We edited it down a little bit because it was a little too long, as Biden is usually very long-winded. But he spoke about the gun culture today, and I want your reaction. Let's listen.
There is a paranoia out there. There's a whole new sort of group of individuals now. They just like the feel of that AR-15 at the range. It's like driving a Ferrari.
You all in Texas you like that feel of the AR-15. What's your take on that?
I wonder who would have been Joe Biden's stand-in 1776 when our founding fathers and the patriots defended this country. I wonder who it would have been that would have been parroting those words about that Americans love their muskets. That's what it. I mean, he sounds to me like one of the royals that would have been speaking for King George in those days. So, listen, it's fascinating that those on the left the infatuation is with those that want to take away Americans' rights. The Second Amendment was put in place so that citizens would know that their government would never, ever impinge upon their freedoms from the standpoint of being able to defend themselves from anyone who wants to do damage or harm to your family members.
But this is snob. This is pure snobbery, is it not? I mean, this is a typical type of elitism where where someone like Biden from Wilmington, Delaware, and he tries to be like the regular guy in the way he talks. But in the end, they look down their nose at people from Texas. They really, I mean, for the most part, you're all a bunch of hayseeds, and you have these weird set of antiquated values on marriage and morality and guns and Bible thumping and all the rest.
I look forward to having that debate with him. I'd be more than happy to have the debate anywhere, anytime with him to talk about if there is a connection between how well a state performs and the beliefs that the majority of the people in those states have. If that's the case, then the Texas mentality of freedom, the Texas mentality of believing in the Constitution, the Texas mentality of standing up for traditional values, there are people moving here in record numbers. If people are voting with their feet, they're leaving states like Connecticut because they're imposing these onerous laws
My home state.
And regulations on them. And so you want to measure what values and traditions are most powerful to people, that lure people to them. I'd be happy to have that conversation, Mr. Vice President. And I suggest to you, better come up with a better argument than the one you've got.
Governor Perry, we're almost out of time, but I'm sure you've been following, or at least seeing on the edges, this debate about immigration reform. The Gang of Eight supposedly is going to drop this grand bargain, which nobody's seen yet, on Capitol Hill. Marco Rubio requested a number of hearings, multiple hearings on this legislation. It's apparently very long, and from what we learned today, it has almost nothing in the way of real measurements for border enforcement, and no repercussions, really, if the border enforcement is not achieved in 5 years, except starting another commission. Should Marco Rubio, if you were advising him today on whether to stand with this Gang of Eight, given what we know now, what would you say to Marco Rubio?
Well, it's clear that we've seen legislation pushed through in the middle of the night without us knowing what it is. It was called Obamacare. We are paying a huge price in this country now from an economic standpoint in particular, and a loss of freedom. And I will suggest to you a loss of good quality health care in the out years as this thing goes into place. Immigration reform is no different. I would highly suggest that Senator Rubio stand up and condemn it, step away from it as fast and as far as he can, and talk about real reform, which is having an open conversation with the people of this country about how do you make a system where individuals can be identified. And listen, if you want to be a citizen of the United States, the path to citizenship has always been there. Go get in line. Go stand in line. Go to the back of the line and stand in line and pay your dues. And then,
so, Governor, you think Marco Rubio should? You think Marco Rubio, Governor Perry, should ditch the Gang of Eight at this point?
If what we see is what we're going to get, and we don't know what we're going to get, so I don't know how. Listen, I'm not in the United States Senate. I know it's quite a debate society, and governors have to stand up and say, here's what we're going to do, and be responsible for those actions. And if those individuals truly want to represent the Republican side of this debate, they need to be very transparent, for one thing. They need to be clearly transparent about here's where we're going, here's what we're going to get done, and listen to the American people. And I'll suggest to you the American people are not going to be for amnesty. They're not going to be for shortcutting our path to citizenship. They're just not.
Now, I can say your two senators aren't part of the Gang of Eight. Cornyn and Ted Cruz, they're not part of this gang. Nope. I don't like anything called the gang, okay? I'm not for the gang. We don't want gangs, okay? We want an open discussion, a transparent discussion. And Governor Perry, I hope you lure all those gun companies from Maryland and from Connecticut into this great state of Texas. So, number one, you'll be the biggest healthcare state in this country, one of the biggest energy states, of course, in the world. And now you'll be adding manufacturing to the state with gun manufacturers. I hope you get it all. I really do. Thank you so much.
And people will come to freedom, and that's what Texas and states like Texas are all about. We're going to continue to promote freedom.
All right, Governor, I'm going to take you up on those boots.
Come on.
I will. I have black lizard ones, but I need a new pair. I think I'm going to do the ostrich next. Or is Peter going to get at me? Yeah, the ostrich, painted ostrich. All right, Governor, take care. Thanks so much.
All right.
We'll take a break on the Laura Ingraham Show. Be right back.